This article, I'll send it to you real quick. It's from the Union Bulletin. It's actually like a near carbon copy of the one from the Seattle Times because that's how journalism goes
Yeah.
in Washington State. But
Isn't that funny?
yeah, so this one is from the Union Bulletin, but it even has the same picture as the one by Nina Shapiro of the New York Times. So they just straight reposted this article onto their own website.
I love when people do that.
How are you allowed to do that?
Right?
I don't want to subscribe to the Seattle Times, so I'm just gonna find the Union Bulletin and they'll repost the article for me. So
All right.
start at the top here. Yes.
Before we get into this, we're going to switch to the screen, but because it's new, give us a second. We might lose an audio. We might have a glitch. So hang with us.
Everything
Switching
should be
over,
fun. We got
and
the-
it works good.
Excellent.
Cool.
We got the double box. We got the everything.
Hot
So
dog.
what this is talking about is a drop in enrollment in Washington State colleges, and especially among young men. And I'm like, we don't know why this is happening. We can't possibly figure it out. So we'll read a little bit of this article and then we'll talk about it. So in 2019, Washington created one of the most generous college financial aid programs in the country. Compared with the program it replaced, the Washington College Grant allowed many more students to qualify for free or subsidized tuition. No longer would eligible students be denied aid because of caps tied to limited funding. By all rights, the state's colleges should have seen a rush of applicants. Instead, enrollment plummeted. Community and technical colleges experienced a combined 24% drop between fall of 2019 and fall of 2021, so that's just 2 years. Public four-year institutions saw a collective drop in undergraduates of nearly 7% during that time period, with some schools losses double or even triple that. Woo. Roughly 60,000 fewer students in all enrolled. What happened, of course, was COVID-19, though educational leaders are still untangling the reasons the pandemic kept students away. So we'll stop there for a moment. If everyone remembers, right, when COVID-19 kicked off, all of the campuses closed down, and they still charged everyone the exact same amount of money. So everything you're doing is on Zoom now, but you're still going to pay me the same amount of money that you were before.
That sounds about right.
A lot of people, and this is just my thinking now, I'm going to say people who were paying for their own schooling, or maybe their parents or someone was paying for their schooling, where they're like, this literally doesn't make any sense for me to be paying this money for you to get a worse education than you even were before.
It's amazing that when somebody is actually working themselves through college, they have a different understanding of the financial burden that it is and their return on investment in themselves from their education versus the people that just take out a fat stack of school loan debt and then just are along for the ride.
And there have been renewed discussions about that as the federal government, the Biden administration, starts to talk again about relieving student loan debt. They're talking about like up to $10,000 of federal student loan debt. And so there's all kinds of people that
midterms are coming.
A lot of parents and stuff like that, and people again who work their way through school that are saying, am I going to get my money back even though I didn't take a loan out? I got a second or a third job, or I worked extra shifts to put my kid through school so they didn't have to take loans out. Or are you going to pay me the money that I paid for this tuition? There was a great clip that I shared this week on Twitter of Elizabeth Warren during the 2020 election cycle, and she get asked by a parent after she gave a speech, gets asked that same question. He said, so I worked extra shifts to put my daughter through school. My daughter worked when she was this big to put herself through school. My neighbor, he took out loans. He bought himself a jet ski. He bought himself all this type of stuff. He said, that guy is going to get his loans paid off. So are you going to pay my money back? And she said, of course not.
Of course
He said,
not.
so you're just going to screw everyone over. And she said, no one's getting screwed over. Here's what's happening. And he said, no. I don't need to hear this. Like, I don't need you to try and gaslight me into understanding why some people deserve to have their money paid back and some people don't. There isn't an equitable or fair way to carry out that policy.
No.
There's no way to do it unless you're going to. And also, Philip was asking I think that's that guy's name. Philip was asking some great questions to Jen Psaki about people who paid off their kids' loans. Are they going to get money paid back? She's like, I haven't seen anything about that. I don't have anything to preview about that right now. It's like, so no is what you're saying.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So,
I was just going to see if I could find it.
That's it right there. Yep. That's the one.
Let's fucking pull this up and play it, shall we? Boom and boom.
Excellent.
And
there it is.
Boom. Oh, wait a minute. Desktop audio. Oh no, it's not working. Why is our sound not working?
Either way, he asked if he could get his money back. Elizabeth Warren said, absolutely not. So, so that's kind of what they're referencing when they're talking about COVID. So we went on a little bit of a tangent there, talking about the student loan debt that will almost definitely come up in the future.
Yes.
Because that's going to, looks like it's going to continue to be a discussion. So we will continue back with this article now. Excuse me. As colleges scramble for ways to boost their numbers, they are facing hard truths about higher education in this state, namely lukewarm enthusiasm and a gender gap that has women outnumbering men at virtually every institution. At Lower Columbia College in Longview, for instance, the share of male students fell from 31% to 28% during the first year of the pandemic. "We're a little stunned," said Lower Columbia President Chris Bailey. "The pandemic caused drop in college enrollment is happening at universities across the nation, and so too is the gender gap. Although it began developing decades before COVID showed up, yet Washington's issues with college seem to run deeper. We didn't have a college-going culture to begin with, and the pandemic has made it worse," said Paul Francis, executive director of Council of Presidents, which represents Washington's 5 public universities in the Evergreen State College.
Yep.
Fantastic, right? While
Yep.
for years Seattle has prided itself on being one of the most educated cities in the country, many credentialed residents hail from elsewhere. The state as a whole sends fewer high school graduates to college than the national average, with Washington's rate 60% of students within a year of leaving high school falling about 6 percentage points short. So
I like the way they refer to the credentialed residents.
yes.
It's like, come on, man. We really worried about credentialism
Well,
right
and
now?
I find that odd because even if they're coming from somewhere else with their college education, if they're having children here, then are your children not existing in a culture of college-going people? Even if you didn't go to college here,
Yeah.
you still went to school. So I struggle a little bit with that rationalization of we didn't have a college-going culture to begin with.
Everybody in our generation has been going to college because that's what they were essentially told they have to do. I mean, I
Yes.
don't understand what this college-going culture is that they're talking about. It's just, I mean, it was not forced on, but, it was heavily implied or heavily pushed that people have to go to college if they want to do anything with their lives.
Yes.
So they go. That using that as like the non-college going culture as an excuse to why admissions might be dropping off seems like a bit of a stretch at best.
Yes, because I agree. The entirety of the time that I was in school, that is what we're told. You have to go to college. You have to go to college. That's how you make more money. That's where the good jobs are. Is if you have a degree like that. That was billed as the only option. I've even talked about even alternative school was not something that people looked highly upon. Even West Sound Tech, right, the technical school where you go and learn a trade while you were in high school, was looked down upon because you weren't going to college. You're not getting a college degree. You're just getting certificates and just certifications, for skills, not degrees, which just doesn't.
How dare you develop skills and prove that you can use them?
Yes.
That is not what we want. We want you to have a useless piece of paper that says that you paid $60,000 to do X.
I think that that's a fantastic point because, again, referring back to the pandemic, right? When people were not going to work, when people with degrees were not going to work, we saw what the country was short on. And it was not degrees. That is not what the country was short on. We were not short on people with pieces of paper that they paid $60,000 for. We were short, as we have been for a decade at the very least, on people who had technical skills and could work. We were short on what we called essential workers.
Yes.
And they could not work anymore. We were called them essential, but no one was there to do the job.
I was just going to say that. I was like, so what we're talking about here essentially is that all of these people that are going to college and they're told they need to go to college then essentially became deemed unessential by the government. And the essential workers were all the blue collar people that probably didn't go to college.
Couldn't work from home.
Like what?
Those are the
Yes.
essential workers. The people that could not work from home were the essential workers.
Yeah.
And largely, if you're working from home, you have a degree. Largely.
Yes. So explain to me again, government, how why everybody needs to go to college? Because they're not essential anymore at that point.
No, and not only I have an article that I'll send you here that's about trades, and this is from 2021, and it's from Business Insider. right? And it's about, the title of it is "The Labor Shortage May Have an Old-Fashioned Solution. Carpenters, electricians, and other trades are good jobs that make workers happy." Also,
That make workers
they
happy.
don't go anywhere. The jobs don't go anywhere. Even if you're not building houses, everyone still has wires in their house.
Yes.
Everyone still has pipes in their house. All of these things still exist. So even if you're not building new houses, you still need people's electrical needs to be repaired. Their plumbing needs to be repaired. They need shit to be rewired. Some people still have super old houses with like knob and tube wiring. I don't know exactly what that is, but I know that you can't
Sounds old.
you can't piecework it. If something needs to be fixed in your house, you got to rewire your whole house. You can't like put new stuff in the middle of your knob and tube. You got to do the whole damn thing. And because knob and tube is so old, there's only so many people that even do that anymore. A lot of people don't even take out knob and tube wiring.
Oh, yeah.
I know that Katie and Leif's house, my in-laws, they live in West Bremerton, right? So all in those blocks in downtown, all of those houses are super duper old. They're from the 20s. They're very old houses. So when they had to have some of their wiring redone, they had completely knob and tube in their entire house. They had to find a company that actually did knob and tube, and then they had to pay a whole bunch of money for it because it's just such a bitch to deal with.
Dude.
Yes.
I was getting worried there for a second. I was going to be like, do you have personal experience of this need? Oh,
no,
God.
I do not. Katie and Leif do. Yeah, they...
Shit,
dealt
that's
with
close
that.
enough, man.
It's unfortunate. They were not happy about it. I don't remember exactly what the cost was, but it was not small. The knob and tube cost was not small.
I guess the only thing you might be able to say in like to the positive side of that is that because you got to make a fix, you got to rewire basically the whole house. So now you got a whole house that's been rewired. So you don't have to worry about that probably the rest of your lives.
Right.
But also, fuck all that noise.
Yes.
I'm not trying to deal with that.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making is that those jobs don't go anywhere because they will forever be in use. And even if you completely change the way houses are built and we're going to live all in mud houses or whatever, someone still has to do that. You still have to have plumbing. You still have to have electrical wiring. Excuse me. All these things still have to happen. These jobs don't go anywhere.
No.
So this is from the Insider article, and we'll read just a little bit of this. The jobs of the future are, in part, the jobs of the past. So stupid. Work for electricians, carpenters, and plumbers could help fix the labor shortage. As millions of Americans reevaluate their careers during the pandemic and quit their jobs, skilled trades that typically offer higher pay and on-the-job training may be a promising new career choice. That's a very important point, on-the-job training, right? There are definitely technical schools that you can go to. We even talked just West Sound Tech. We just talked about one. That one's mostly for youth. There are adults that go there, but it's definitely mostly geared towards youth. There are a lot of buses and stuff like that go there, but adults go there, and I know they have carpentry there, they have welding there, they have a nursing program, they have like a cosmetology program, they have a food services program. They have a gang of different programs in just one building. On the west side. So there are technical schools, but there are also, if people are not like desperately in need of workers and they're just looking to hire someone, they will often hire someone who doesn't have experience to make them an apprentice, maybe pay them a little bit less money because they're also giving them a skill. They can become a journeyman, right? That's for anyone who's not familiar with their trades. That's what it's called. You're an apprentice for a few years. You then become a journeyman. You know what the trade is. You can do things. You can operate by yourself. You could start your own independent contractor as a journeyman, being just a plumber.
Yep.
Right? That's a whole nother branch that opens up to this, that again people realized if they were too stupid to know before. And I'm not gonna, there's that guy in the comments who's like, way to talk down to your audience. If you're too stupid to know this, I'm gonna tell you that. That's one thing I really appreciated and I've embraced about Eric July. I'm not afraid to tell you're stupid. If you're being stupid, I'm going to tell you're stupid. I don't care if you love this show. I don't care if you're paying me money. If you're being stupid, I'm going to tell you that you're being stupid.
Yeah.
So if you're too stupid to realize that that's one of the benefits of having a trade job is that you can work for yourself, right? Even if working for yourself means quitting your job at a plumbing company in Washington and moving to Oklahoma to work for a different plumbing company, that's a skill you have that immediately translates to another state.
Yes.
It's not going to be different. Maybe the regulations will be different, but the way that it is done in general, it's not going to be different. You can take that skill and you can go wherever you want, even if you don't own your own company.
Yeah.
You can go wherever.
Because the important part of, I guess, maybe we should really start referring to, because we always refer to it as the trades, right?
Right.
But really what it is, it's the skilled trades.
Skilled trades.
Skilled trades. it doesn't matter what kind of credentials you're carrying in to my office if I'm looking to hire you. I care about whether you have any kind of skills or experience to do the job I need you to do.
Right.
And that's what I care about. I have hired people that have had zero skills and zero experience because we were in the position where we wanted to essentially adopt an apprentice type deal. So then that's one way to do it. But, if somebody's coming to me looking for a job, the thing I'm really looking at is whether they have the skills and the experience required to do what I need them to do. I don't care if they have a piece of paper or not that says,
Right.
I did learn this. I don't care about that. I need you to demonstrate that you have the skill that you supposedly learned from this piece of paper.
Right.
And that's what's important. It's the skilled trades. And that's, like you said before, you learn a skill in Washington State. You take that skill with you anywhere you go in the world. It's something you can always do. Depending on the market there might be benefits or, negative effects on, whether you can utilize it to its full effect. But the skill is what's important there. And you don't get the skill necessarily by going to college.
Right.
You do get it by doing the thing
in the field. And we can boil it down even more. If you're talking about, we can even use you as an example, right? If you're looking for somebody, you don't necessarily need somebody who has experience because you're just looking for someone to fill this job, right? So if you're looking at two candidates that are the same age, one of them spent the last 4 years in college getting a degree that doesn't necessarily relate to your business, because that's a lot of that is going on right now, that people don't know what they want to do. Kids, young adults don't know what they want to do, which I think is reasonable. I'm 27. I don't.
Yep.
This is what I want to do. It took me till I was 24 to figure out that this is what I wanted to do. So I think it's reasonable that kids in college, university don't know what they want to do yet. So a lot of them pick majors and stuff like that don't necessarily translate to whatever they'll be doing afterwards. We've always used communications as like an example because we know so many people with communications degrees. So if you're looking at two people that are the same age, one of them just went to college for 4 years and exited with a degree in communications. The other one went to high school and has been working for the last 4 years. Even if neither of them have skills that relate to your job, the person who just worked for 4 years at least knows how to work hard for 4 years, ideally, right? They know how to work because
if they've been working for 4 years, they show up to work.
Right.
They generally do their job to the
say
point
they've
they
had
don't get fired
for 4 years. Because that's a little bit easier to translate.
Oh, yeah.
One person went to university, one person did the same job for 4 years, and now they want a different job.
Yep.
Both people have applied to your business. Even if they don't have, like you said, a skill that applies to your job, that person just worked for the same company for 4 years. So you know they're reliable.
Yep.
You know they'll show up. You know that they'll do the work, and they're both willing to learn. So that person, even if it's not a skill that relates to your job, they have skills that give them 1 point up from the person who just left college.
Yes. And just from my own experience, the people that are coming from a college are generally asking for more money. And I think I should be no news to anybody. It's because they know they have bills to pay already.
They have higher debt already.
They start at a negative net because they put themselves in debt generally to go to school. And so they feel like they need to make at least $20 an hour or something like that, versus somebody that worked for a little while might be asking for 18 or something like that.
Even if they have credit card debt, it's probably not 60 grand in credit card debt. It's maybe like 10, 20 if you got some heavy credit card debt, know. But you still don't need that same amount of money to pay off those credit cards and also pay all of your bills, you know.
Yeah, and it kind of shows more of a track record of responsibility more than anything else. They have some form of personal responsibility because they have gotten and held a job for multiple years at a time. Even if it's very popular these days for people in our generation to not work for the same company for very long and then just bounce around. But when you go from job to job to job over a period of like 3 or 4 years and you work like 3 different jobs, you're still submitting references to those places, and then I will call those references, and they generally have nothing bad to say about them. Oh yeah, they found their next thing, or they moved on to there, or they moved blah blah blah. There's always reasons for it, and generally speaking, not even having to stay in the same job for 4 years, it doesn't mean the same thing as it used to, say, 10 years ago.
Right.
Even. And so there's just so much more to be had from true life experience. Mind you, that's not to say that college isn't necessary for certain things, and you learn a different set of skills, I should say. that may not translate to the actual hands-on work, but you might have some kind of benefit, and it'll maybe fit better in certain jobs. But overall, having that actual experience where you show you're a reliable worker is going to pay dividends when you're actually trying to find your next job.
Right.
Compared to your little piece of paper.
Right.
Welcome to the south of the streets.